You up on trades and why you move? You ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points, makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release. We started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery of the leaderboard. Quite obviously not a scrub, so started institute, make evaluations like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sipping brew, sifting through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes, down to homies who click in groups. I introduce you to the Stu and JT Brew.
But it's I'm going to jump on it before it falls too much. All right, so we'll speed through here a little bit about the NFC. We took our time there on the AFC. We'll speed it up just a bit here. Let's look at the NFC East. They're playing the AFC East and the NFC West this year. So Cowboys right now, to win the division, plus 190 on DraftKings, plus 165 on FanDuel. They're sitting at 9.5 on the over-under. Vegas leaning slightly to the over at minus 130 and minus 150, under plus 110, plus 120. I feel like that 9 number is right at the spot. John, what do you think?
I think this team's going to go 12-4, and I think that's being modest. I think this team is made to steamroll people right now, and they're fantastic. I don't see – there's really not any weaknesses on this whole team. So the Eagles, even though it's a tough schedule, I don't care. Like, they come in and they beat the shit out of people, and they don't stop. So I got them at 12-4.
Yeah, the Cowboys?
Oh, shit. I thought you said the Eagles.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, John really I was like, if you really love the Cowboys, I'm loving the conviction, but I was a little surprised to see you jump in there.
Sorry, 9-8. It all depends on Dak. This offense is set up to win with Lamb, Cooks, Gallup, all that kind of stuff. They'll probably make the playoffs sneaking a little bit, but 9-8 on the Cowboys. No, I don't have the same optimism for the Cowboys as I do for the Eagles.
Yeah, so I'm right with you. I'm at 9-8. I feel like that just seems where this team is. They just seem like a mediocre team. They seem like they're good enough to win games, but not great enough to get far. I feel like they're another team that missed their window. They had their window, and they just it just didn't happen. I feel like 9-8 all the way for me. I think like 9-5. If I'm going on this bet, I'm probably not taking this bet, to be honest with you. But if I'm betting anyway, I'm taking the extra, the plus 120, and I'm taking the under at 9 because they've got a tough schedule. Too many tough road games. This team, they don't play well on the West Coast. They got to play the Niners and the Chargers on the road. I don't like those games. I mean, I'm giving them the win against the Pats at home. I even had them beating the Jets at home. I think that's a toss-up game. I had them lose at the Giants to start the season. I just feel like they don't ever play well there. Like I said, I looked at a lot of these games and I gave them wins. I even gave them a split with the Eagles. So that tells you, I gave them a split with the Eagles and they still only got to 9 wins.
This is a team that's going to win games they're supposed to lose, and they're going to lose games they're supposed to win. And that's always they're going to be where they're at in the middle.
They're going to be insanely frustrating. I will not be betting on them during the season because that's what they always do. They'll play terrible one week. The spread will be one way. You're like, oh, I'm going the other way. I'm off it. But I will stay away from the Cowboys a lot of this year. I just think I'm taking the under 9 wins. I just don't see it. And then that division is going to be tough. You never know if the Commanders are going to upset them or the Giants. I just think it's going to be tough for them to get to 10 wins. Moving on, Giants were kind of the darlings last year. Kind of came out of nowhere with Dayball. Danny Dimes started playing pretty well. Right now, still not a very high to win the division. They're plus 800 and plus 600 on DraftKings at FanDuel. They're sitting at 8.5 on the wins right now. This is another team that's that toss-up team that everybody's kind of been betting both ways on. Right now on DraftKings, they're 8.5 at plus 120 for the over, and they're at minus 140 for the under at 8.5. Because it swung so much for the under, FanDuel actually changed their odds, moved it to 7.5, and made it minus 122 at the over, and they actually made it plus 100 at under 7.5. This team is right there in the mix. What do you think, John, on here? I think this team is – a lot of people are going to be looking at this team 2 different ways.
I got them at 9-8 right now. I think the Giants, they're a good ball control offense. Ball control is the name of the game for them with Daniel Jones. If he could just dink and dunk his way through this beginning of the schedule, they got a lot of talented slot receivers on this team. If they can have Saquon Barkley and Darren Waller just kind of get the short yardage passes, control the clock, and you got Isaiah Hodgins who overproduced last year. I'm not sure he's going to be a staple of the offense this year so much, but Paris Campbell's okay, nothing special, but they have to wait for Rondo Robinson to come back from injury 100%, and that might not be till earlier in the year or later in the year. But Jalen Hyatt's a speech that people are going to, they're going to pull a safety and a cornerback trying to cover his. I mean, we all thought he was lightning fast, but he ran like a 4.5 or something like that. So he's not like crazy fast, but he will open the offense a little bit for them. But this Daniel Jones, I think, is super underrated. So I don't. He's not for so much. Everybody loves him for fantasy because he has rushing stats, but I think Daniel Jones is a pretty decent quarterback just to keep an NFL team rolling.
Yeah, for me, the Giants were a toughie for me. I originally had him at 10-7 going through the schedule, but then when I went back and looked at it, I was like, man, a lot of their toss-up games I'm giving to them. A lot of those games, and I'm like, yeah, that could go either way. The Jets game, I gave them the win against the Jets. I definitely think the Jets could win that game. I gave them the win at the Saints late in the year. I think that could possibly be a loss. I had them beating the Pats. That one is a toss-up for me with the Patriots there. I've got them at 10-7, and I don't feel good about it at all. I just don't feel good about the 10-7. I feel like it's too high. 8.5 seems more realistic. Like I said, I could easily see two of those teams winning. Vegas is really leaning hard to the under here at -140 on 8.5. So that makes me think I'm way off at the fact that I had them at 10-7. I've got to rethink that, look at it again. I think the Giants are better, but I'm not 100% confident about their defense and how their defense is going to handle. And this is where I'm scared. And if I had to put money on it, even though I'm picking 10-7, Vegas starting to talk me into the under here.
9-8 was kind of because I like Daniel Jones and I like Saquon Barkley and I like this offense and I like a good coach. That's why it kind of pushed me over the limit to get that a little bit ahead of, a little bit above my skis, I guess, to say a little bit at 9-8. But I could see them going 7-9 or like 8-9 or something like that, or maybe 7-10 something. But I could see that happening for sure because I'm just very optimistic about the Giants, and that's probably a flaw that I have with this offense. So.
They are 11. I just looked. They're 11 games. They're the underdog this year. So right now, if you look at the spread, there's 11 games that they're underdog. That's why Vegas is leaning that side. I took them because of Dable and the upside of Jones. I think I maybe slightly gave them the favorite in a lot of those close games. I don't think they can win all those, and that was what makes me. I gave them every one of those close games. I think they probably win half. I think you're right. I think this is more of a 7-10, 8-9 team.
Yeah. Right.
Especially in that division. Just a tough division. Moving on, the Eagles, we'll let you get in there. I'll let you get fired up about the Eagles. You just did before. Right now, they're one of those teams that are a minus to win the division at -120 on DraftKings. A little better odds on FanDuel at +110. Over-under on them right now is sitting at 11.5 at DraftKings. FanDuel has just dropped to 10.5. So it's -110, so pretty much even money on the over. It's even money -110 and 11.5 on the under. FanDuel has dropped it to 10.5 and made it -158 on the over, and then giving you some points on the under 10.5 at +128. John, everybody absolutely loved the Eagles draft. They almost won the Super Bowl. Usually you have that Super Bowl hangover. You hear about teams, they fall apart the next year. Can the Eagles avoid that this season and put together another good run?
Yeah, not a chance. They are just the best team in football, I think, all around across the board. And I feel like they got robbed in the Super Bowl by a couple of bad calls. So I'm not. They are just a team that does not fuck around, man. They don't. They just go after people and they smoke people and they just keep smoking them. They don't really. They know what they have. The team got better from last year, which is hard to even fathom. They got a lot better through the draft. And I just feel like this team is going to be somebody that I think that this is my Super Bowl favorite for this year, even above the 49ers if they have a healthy quarterback. So I think they're going to win the NFC above San Francisco, to be honest with you. So 12-4 was kind of a, I'm not going to say anybody's going to go undefeated, but they honestly have a chance to. They're that good.
You be 12-5, 17 games. So you had them at 12-5.
Oh
right?
yeah, 12.
Yeah, 12-5.
Okay, I'm gonna say I'll say 13-4. Then I probably messed up my
13-4.
fat fingers when I was typing. So
13-4. I'm right there. I think that dropping to the 10.5 has me a little nervous. Vegas dropped that to 10.5. I think this team. My initial run through was 11-6. And 11-6, though, I think this team. See, this is another example where I think this team at 11-6 and the Colts at 11-6 are two totally different teams. I think this team is a great 11-6. I think the Colts are a terrible 11-6, and they go that way just because of the schedule makeup. I think this Eagles team is awesome. I just think they have an incredibly difficult schedule. Yeah. And I think they're going to end up with a good record because they're a good team. But it's going to be hard with this schedule for them, I think, to win 13, 14 games. Not that I don't think they're good enough to. I actually think they are good enough. But the schedule just does not work out with them that way. Tough division. Always tough in that division. Giants are better. Commanders are better. You got to figure they're probably a split with the Cowboys. So once you start going through their schedule, I like them coming out of the gates on fire. I actually have them starting 8-0. If that tells you anything, I think this team comes out on all cylinders. I actually have them going to the Chiefs after the bye week and winning, and I still only have them at 11 wins. That's how hard this schedule is. I think they actually go and win in KC, which is going to be a crazy atmosphere after the Super Bowl. Right. I think they win in KC, but then they got a home game against the Bills. I could see them tripping up, coming home playing the Bills after they win at Kansas City, having a little bit of a letdown. Because, again, that's a back-to-back tough game. Then they got the Niners at home. I think that one's going to be tough. I actually have them losing that game, but to me, that's a coin flip game. As I was going through the schedule, I had the Niners winning that just as a revenge game from last year from losing. But, again, I could see them winning that game. Then they're at the Cowboys, at the Seahawks. That's a brutal stretch right there. They're at Jets, home for the Dolphins, at Chiefs, home for the Bills, home for the Niners, at Cowboys, at Seahawks. That right there is just a brutal stretch for me. I think they're maybe better than every one of those teams. I just think that's going to be a tough back-to-back all the way through on that schedule for them to win all those games. That's why I have them losing a handful of those. I have them beating the Cowboys, but I have them losing at the Seahawks, even though I think that's probably a game they win. Seattle's tough to play in, and that's going to be at the tail end of that really tough run. Then they finish up with the Giants, Cardinals, and Giants again. If you really like the Eagles, I'm probably taking the over. And I'm probably taking, if you want to just do it at 11.5, you think they get to 12 wins, do it. 10.5, I mean, you got minus 158, but I think they get to 11. If you don't mind playing the extra juice at the 158 for that one game, I think 10.5 is too low. Crazy schedule, but this team's way too good not to win 11 games. I think they're 11, 12-win team. I think they have the talent to be a 14-win team.
Yep.
I just think the schedule is just too tough. I just think they have too many good teams, and they're all right in a row. And that's the only thing that holds me back on the Eagles. I was originally on the Niners as my favorite to win the Super Bowl. I'm leaning Eagles now, kind of. Yeah. I kind of lean in the Eagles. I just feel like this team drafted great. They filled all the spots in. There's nowhere on this team you look and go, oh, well, they're not good there. Well, they're good everywhere. Every spot they have, they're good.
And they got depth. And you're looking at.
And they got depth. And they got depth. They got Rashard Penny. They got Swift. Okay, two guys with injuries.
Gainwell, but Boston Scott. It just keeps going.
They still got Gainwell, Boston Scott. Yeah, they're just loaded. Everywhere on defense where they lost a guy, they added a new guy just as good, if not better. I just think this team is ready to explode. I think they're deep. I think they can withstand injuries where a lot of other teams won't be able to withstand injuries.
And you got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith on the outsides with Dallas Goedert in the middle. Like, how do you – and then on top of that, if everything's covered, you got a quarterback that can run, that can kill you with his legs. Like, there's no stopping this team.
Yeah, I think even injuries, I think this team ends up being pretty good. So I'm on them. I'm with you there. Washington Commanders, this is a team – I could see this team going a bunch of ways. I could see them actually being competitive and pretty good and only winning 4 games. Or I could see him at 9-8 and be right in the mix. I just feel like this team's got a good defense. You don't know what Sam Howell's going to do. I love Sam Howell. I hope he gets a chance. But even if he doesn't, Brissett is good enough to win games. I really struggled. I wanted to find wins for the Commanders. I wanted to. And I still could only make them 4-13. I think they go that bad. I don't think they're that bad of a team. I'm just not sure they can. There's that many winnable games on their schedule. And if they are that bad, I think they're a team that's actually.
I don't know what happened there.
I clicked something and I kept double clicking, but totally my fault, people. Sorry about that. I did not mean to click that, moving my finger around too much on the computer screen there. But John, what do you think about the Commanders here? Like I said, I actually like this team. I think they're up and coming. You just don't know about the quarterback play. I just think they have a tough schedule. I just had a hard time finding wins.
I am at 9-8. I think this is one of the most underrated teams in the NFL. Antonio Gibson might finally get his chance to become the elite fantasy asset that in this fantasy football landscape, because Eric Bieniemy is running the offense this year, and if Ron Rivera can keep his stupid hands out of the offense, I think that this offense could be awesome. They got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. Even at tight end, it's Logan Thomas is a pretty damn good quarterback, a pretty damn good tight end, and then Brian Robinson, they brought, is a good filler guy, but Chris Rodriguez is slow. Everybody makes fun of how slow he is. Oh, he's super slow, but he's a pretty damn good running back too. He never fumbles the ball either. So I think Antonio Gibson is going to be the PPR back that everybody wants. He'll be a top. I'm going to go off on a limb here and say Gibson's going to be a top 10 running back this year in the NFL because of his receptions he can get out of the backfield. So I am at 9-8, and I had no problem saying that it's 9-8. That might be a little bit overrated for some people, or say it's crazy talk, but I got them at 9-8. I think they're the most underrated team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, so you definitely love them a lot more than Vegas. The Commanders, to win the division, they're plus 1,100 and plus 1,000. So people don't have a lot there. Right now, they're sitting at 6.5. And Vegas at the over-under, but they're liking the over. Minus 120 on DraftKings, minus 122 on FanDuel. Under is plus 100 at both sites. So they're kind of sitting around that 6-7 win team. Like I said, I had them at 4-13. They feel more like a 7-10, 8-19 to me. I don't think their schedule works out great for them as far as where it lines up, who's on the road, who they got at home. But I definitely think this team is going to be a tough out every week. I don't think they're going to give up a lot of easy wins. I don't think they're going to get blown out by a lot of people. I think they're going to be in the mix. That 6.5 is so tough for me because everything to me tells me, like looking at the schedule, that I should take the under wins and I should take 6. But again, I feel like you said, I feel like they have enough talent on offense and they're pretty good on defense. If they can get any kind of good QB play, and honestly, I'm a Sam Howell guy. I hope he comes out and crushes. I hope he ends up being their next guy for them. This is a bet I'm probably staying away from. If I'm with someone like you and I
you up on trades and why you move. You ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points. Makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release. We started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery up.